ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about a profound and liberating truth, the power of leaving it in God's hands. We live in a world where it is easy to become overwhelmed by the weight of life's challenges, demands, and uncertainties. Every day we are faced with decisions, struggles, and questions that seem too great for us to bear. But there is a profound principle that can change the way we approach life's difficulties. Leave it in God's hands. You see, the first key to understanding this principle is realizing that we are not in control of everything. As human beings, we like to believe that we can handle every situation, that our effort alone is enough to shape our destiny. But the truth is, some things are beyond our ability to control. Our health, the hearts of others, the timing of events, and the future itself. These things are beyond our grasp. But there is a higher power, divine presence, that holds the ultimate authority over all things. And in recognizing this, we are invited to trust in something much greater than our own understanding. When we acknowledge that we are not the architects of our own fate, we open ourselves to the infinite wisdom and guidance that can only come from a higher hand. It is in trusting this greater force that we find our true strength. Trusting God is not simply an act of hope. It is an act of surrender. It means releasing our worries, our burdens, and our need for control. The most powerful decision you can make is not to wrestle with every challenge that comes your way, but to release it and trust that it is being handled in a way far beyond our comprehension. It's about surrendering the outcomes and accepting that you are part of a much larger plan. This brings us to the second truth, faith in timing. We often find ourselves frustrated when things don't happen according to our timeline. We rush, we push, we strive, believing that we can force an outcome. But the divine plan is always at work, and it is often at times when we least expect it. God's timing is not our timing, but it is always perfect. When you leave it in God's hands, you must trust that the timing is part of the miracle. What seems delayed to us is simply being prepared for a greater manifestation. Now, let's talk about the weight of worry. Worry is a natural response when we feel out of control. But it is also a heavy burden that keeps us from experiencing peace. When we hold onto our problems with clenched fists, we become weary, anxious, and tired. However, when we release them, when we let go, we invite peace into our hearts. The peace that comes from surrender is not passive, it's an active peace, a peace that allows us to move forward without the weight of fear. We must understand that leaving it in God's hands isn't a passive act, it's an empowering one. It doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you trust that you are being guided, that you have been equipped for the journey, and that when you make your efforts, they are aligned with a greater purpose. The key is that you are not alone in this process. God is with you, working behind the scenes, weaving together the threads of your life into a masterpiece that you could never have imagined on your own. I say to you today, release your worries, your fears, and your expectations. Leave them in God's hands. Trust that what is meant for you will find you, and that divine timing is at work in ways you may not see just yet. The moment you surrender is the moment you begin to experience true freedom. Trust the plan, trust the process, and most importantly, trust that you are never alone in your journey. Let go and leave it in God's hands. In our fast-pacing world, it's easy to get caught up in the belief that we must control everything around us. We often try to manage every situation, every outcome, in every moment of our lives. The more we strive to control, the more we realize how little we actually have command over. Control is often an illusion that we cling to out of fear or insecurity. We like to think that if we just work harder, plan better, or push more aggressively, we can ensure everything turns out in our favor. But what happens when we confront things that are completely beyond our ability to influence? Health crises, the behavior of others, unexpected events. These are areas where no amount of effort on our part can change the outcome. The realization that there are forces at play beyond our reach can be humbling. Yet it also presents an incredible opportunity. Understanding control means acknowledging that while we can influence certain aspects of our lives, there are many things that will unfold no matter how much we try to grasp them. It means recognizing the limits of our own power. When we face these moments, instead of pushing harder, we must learn to accept what we cannot change. This acceptance is not a form of resignation. Rather, it's a shift in perspective. God is about recognizing what we can control. Our thoughts, our responses, our attitude, and understanding that there is freedom in knowing where our responsibility ends. We no longer need to struggle to change things that are not in our hands. Once we release this need for absolute control, we create space for peace and trust to enter our hearts. This understanding of control is liberating because it allows us to focus our energy on the things that truly matter. It frees us from the weight of unnecessary burdens, enabling us to engage more fully with the present moment. We are not meant to carry the entire world on our shoulders. And when we accept that we are not the masters of all outcomes, we step into a new realm of possibility. By recognizing the limits of our control, we make room for a higher power to work through us, to guide us, and to show us the way forward. Letting go of control is not a loss. It's an opening to greater wisdom and a deeper trust in the process of life itself. To trust in a higher power is to acknowledge that there is something greater than ourselves guiding the course of our lives. It is the step beyond the limitations of our own understanding and control. While we may have ambitions, desires, and plans, there is a deeper reality at play, one that transcends our human perspective. Trusting in this higher power means accepting that our lives are not random or purposeless. They are part of a grand design, orchestrated by a force that is both powerful and compassionate. Trusting a higher power is not just about acknowledging that there is a divine force at work in the universe. It is about placing our faith in that force, even when we don't fully understand it. It requires a level of surrender. Surrender to the belief that things will unfold as they are meant to, even if the path seems uncertain or difficult. Life is filled with twists and turns and confusion. Life is filled with twists and turns, unexpected obstacles, and challenges that can leave us feeling lost and confused. And they weren't. But in these moments, trusting in a higher power is what gives us the strength to keep moving forward. It helps us hold on to hope when everything else seems to be falling apart. There is comfort in knowing that we're not alone in our struggles, that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our own shoulders. Trusting a higher power means believing that even in our darkest moments, there is guidance available to us, often in ways that are invisible or unexpected. This trust allows us to release our fears, because we know we are being watched over and cared for. The challenges we face are not punishments, but opportunities for growth, learning, and deeper connection to the divine. When we trust in a higher power, we are also trusting in something far greater than our own limited vision of the world. It is a trust that the divine wisdom at work is always leading us to where we need to be. Even if it's not where we imagine we'd end up, it's about surrendering our limited understanding and embracing a higher, more expansive perspective that we may not always be able to see at the moment. In the end, trusting a higher power is about cultivating an unwavering belief that there is a purpose in everything, even in the pain and uncertainty. It's about letting go of the illusion that we are solely responsible for everything and recognizing that we are part of a larger divine plan that is unfolding precisely as it should. The mission of Christianity, the mission that is unfolding precisely as it should, this trust allows us to walk through life with peace, confidence, and an open heart, knowing that no matter what happens, we are being led by a power greater than ourselves. Surrender is often misunderstood. Many people think of it as weakness or giving up, when in fact, it is one of the most powerful and liberating acts we can experience. The power of surrender lies in its ability to release us from the burdens of trying to control every aspect of our lives. It's about letting go of the need to micromanage every outcome and allowing ourselves to be guided by a force greater than our own willpower. True surrender doesn't mean we stop working or stop caring. It means we let go of the emotional, mental, and spiritual weight that comes with thinking we have to do it all on our own. In a world that praises self-sufficiency and personal achievement, surrender can seem like a radical choice. Yet it is in surrender that we find real freedom. We are constantly faced with challenges that we can't solve with our own strength or intellect. In these moments, the act of surrender allows us to accept the reality of the situation without the need to control it. When we let go of our attachment to specific outcomes, we open ourselves up to infinite possibilities. Surrender is not about passivity. It is an active, intentional decision to release the need for everything to unfold exactly as we envisioned. This act of surrender allows us to stop fighting the current of life. Often we are so focused on forcing things to go the way we want them to, that we forget we are part of a larger flow, a flow that is leading us exactly where we need to be. When we surrender, we stop resisting what is, and instead, we begin to flow with life. The more we fight, the more we struggle, the more we struggle, the more we surrender, the more we align with what is meant to happen. Surrender also brings clarity and peace. Holding on tightly to every situation, relationship, or expectation creates tension and anxiety. But when we surrender, we release the grip of worry, the constant pressure of needing to figure everything out. It is in this space of surrender that we find peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from getting our own way, but the deep peace that comes from trusting that there is a higher purpose, a higher plan at work. We let go of our need for immediate answers, and in doing so, we allow ourselves the grace to accept what is unfolding, no matter how uncertain it might seem at first. The power of surrender also opens a door to transformation. It's through surrendering our ego, our fears, and our limited perspectives that we can experience personal growth. We no longer define ourselves by a control or our ability to achieve. Instead, we come to understand that the greatest strength lies in trusting the process of life. Hence, surrender invites growth because it asks us to step beyond what we know, to trust in something we cannot see, and to step into the unknown with faith and courage. And this is the fundamental Romney process we need to do. Big corporations need to do raising capital. We need to raise the capital out of people's imagination. When we practice surrender, we also step into a higher form of trust. A trust that what is meant for us will find us and that we do not have to force it. This trust is deeply empowering because it frees us from the anxiety of what if and how, and allows us to walk forward with faith that we are being carried even when we cannot see the path ahead. Surrender is an act of ultimate faith. It's the understanding that although we may not always understand the way forward, we are never truly alone and we are always being guided towards something greater. The power of surrender is not weakness. It is a bold, courageous act of letting go and allowing ourselves to be led, knowing that the universe has something far greater in store for us than we could ever plan or orchestrate on our own. Surrender is the key that unlocks the door to peace, growth, and divine guidance. Faith in timing is a deep and transformative understanding that life unfolds not according to our immediate desires or plans, but in accordance with a divine rhythm and order. We live in a world that thrives on speed, instant gratification, and the belief that we should have everything now. We want the results without the wait. And when things don't happen on our timeline, it can lead to frustration, doubt, and even despair. Takes it fast. However, there is a powerful truth in the realization that timing is not ours to dictate, but is part of a greater plan that is beyond our comprehension. Faith in timing requires us to trust that everything happens at the right moment, even when we don't understand the delays or detours along the way. Often we are so focused on the outcome that we lose sight of the process. We may find ourselves thinking, why isn't this happening for me yet? Or why is this taking so long? But the truth is, what may seem like a delay is often the preparation for something far greater than what we expected. There are things we must learn, people we must meet, and circumstances that must align before we are ready for the next step. The universe is working behind the scenes to ensure that everything comes together in the most beautiful and perfect way. Having faith in timing means accepting that we don't have all the answers, and we don't have to. It's about releasing the need to control the pace of our lives and trusting that things will unfold as they should. Life is full of seasons, times of growth, times of rest, and times of challenge. Just as a seed cannot be rushed to bloom, we too cannot skip the necessary stages of our personal and spiritual development. The process, although sometimes difficult, is exactly what we need to shape us into who we are meant to become. That's meditation. And it is also called religion. When we embrace faith in timing, we also learn patience. Patience is not about passively waiting for something to happen. It is the active belief that while we wait, something significant is unfolding. It's the trust that we are being prepared for the right opportunities, the right relationships, and the right moments. In the meantime, we continue to grow, to learn, and to align ourselves with the flow of life, knowing that our time will come when it is meant to. Faith in timing helps us release the pressure we often place on ourselves. In our society, there's a constant comparison to others. I should be farther along by now. Or why did they get what I wanted? These thoughts can easily cloud our judgment and make us feel as if we've missed our moment. But when we trust in timing, we stop comparing our journey to anyone else's. Our path is unique, and so is the timing of our unfolding. What is meant for us will arrive when the time is right, and the path we walk is specifically designed for our growth and purpose. Faith in timing also teaches us resilience. We learn not to get discouraged when things don't happen as quickly as we want them to. Instead, we learn to trust the process, knowing that everything has its season. Even in the moments of waiting, we are being shaped. We are learning patience, strengthening our character, and deepening our trust in the greater plan. The setbacks, delays, and even the times of waiting are all part of the preparation for what is ahead. Without those moments, we wouldn't be ready for the opportunities that are coming our way. Faith in timing is about knowing that we are not in control of the clock. Time will move, and things will unfold, but we do not need to hurry them. We simply need to show up, do the work, and trust that when the time is right, everything will align in ways we could never have predicted. In the moments when we feel uncertain or impatient, we must remember that the universe has a perfect timing for everything, and our job is not to rush it, but to trust it. When we do, we discover that the timing of our lives is always right, even when it doesn't match our expectations. Faith in timing brings us peace, assurance, and the belief that everything is unfolding just as it should. Releasing worry and fear is one of the most profound and freeing actions we can take in life. Every day we carry with us a heavy load of concerns. What could go wrong? What might happen in the future? And what challenges lie ahead? These worries often consume our thoughts, draining our energy and clouding our judgment. Fear, too, has a powerful grip on us, keeping us stuck in place, preventing us from moving forward or taking risks. But the truth is, worry and fear are not productive. They do not change the outcome of any situation, nor do they prepare us for what's to come. Instead, they hold us captive, creating anxiety that keeps us from experiencing the peace and clarity that is available to us. To release worry and fear requires a conscious decision to let go of the illusion of control. We often worry because we want to protect ourselves, to predict and prevent the worst-case scenarios. But life is inherently uncertain, and the reality is that we cannot control everything. No amount of worrying will stop difficult things from happening, and no amount of fear will prevent us from facing challenges. Worrying about the future only steals our peace in the present moment. Fear, meanwhile, limits our potential, keeping us from taking action or making decisions based on faith rather than anxiety. Fear, too, is a reflection of our need for control. It often stems from a fear of the unknown, a fear of failure, or a fear of rejection. But when we step back and look at fear from a different perspective, we see that it is simply an invitation to grow. Every time we face fear, we have an opportunity to step outside our comfort zone, to expand our limits, and to discover the strength we didn't know we had. Fear is not something to avoid, it's something to move through. When we confront it, we realize that it holds no power over us. Our ability to choose courage in the face of fear is what allows us to transcend it. Releasing worry and fear also involves a shift in mindset, choosing peace over panic, faith over doubt. It's about understanding that no matter what happens, we are not alone. There is a greater force at work in our lives, guiding us and protecting us, and we do not have to face life's challenges by ourselves. This higher power, this divine presence is always there, supporting us through the storm. By choosing to trust in this guidance, we can release our grip on fear and worry and find peace in the knowledge that we are always being taken care of. As we release worry and fear, we open ourselves to a new way of being. We stop living in the shadow of what could go wrong, and instead we start living in the light of what could go right. We make room for hope, for possibility, and for joy. The more we release our attachment to worry and fear, the more space we create for love, faith, and peace to enter our lives. This shift doesn't mean that difficult times won't come or that we won't experience moments of fear. It simply means that we no longer allow them to define us. We no longer allow them to control our actions or our peace. Instead, we choose to live in the present, trusting that everything will unfold as it should, and that no matter what, we are always guided and protected. In the end, releasing worry and fear is a choice we make every day. A choice to let go of the burdens that weigh us down and to embrace the freedom that comes with trusting the journey of life. It is a decision to trust that everything will work out in the way that it is meant to, and that no matter how uncertain the future may seem, we have everything we need within us to navigate it. Embracing peace is a deeply transformative choice that requires us to move beyond the noise, chaos, and demands of the external world. It is a decision to find stillness within ourselves, no matter what is happening around us. In a society that often values busyness, achievement, and constant motion, true peace can feel elusive, as though it's something far out of reach. But the truth is, peace is not something we have to chase or acquire. It is already within us, waiting to be discovered. The key is not in seeking peace externally, but in creating an internal environment where peace can reside. At its core, embracing peace is about letting go of the distractions that take us away from the present moment. We often spend our lives worrying about the past or obsessing over the future, and in doing so, we miss out on the calm and serenity that exists in the here and now. Peace is not a future event, nor is it tied to a perfect set of circumstances. It is found when we stop racing to the next thing and learn to be present to fully experience each moment without the need for constant achievement or validation. When we stop chasing after external validation of approval, we create a space where true inner peace can flourish. In embracing peace, we also come to understand that it is not the absence of problems or challenges, but the presence of acceptance and faith amidst them. Life is filled with uncertainty, pain, and difficult times, but peace is found not in the absence of these challenges, but in our response to them. It is the ability to face adversity with a calm heart and a clear mind, trusting that no matter what happens, we are not alone and we have the strength to navigate through it. Peace does not mean that we won't experience difficulty. but rather that we will have the resilience and inner strength to face it without being consumed by it. A baraka baraka tabor. When we embrace peace, we also embrace forgiveness. Holding on to grudges, anger, and resentment only disrupts our peace. These emotions are like weights that drag us down and prevent us from moving forward. Forgiveness frees us from the burden of past hurts, allowing us to release the emotional baggage that prevents us from living in the present moment. It is a way of choosing freedom. Freedom from the anger, frustration, and negative energy that can cloud our hearts and minds. This is the way. When we forgive, we not only release others, but we also release ourselves, creating space for peace to take root and grow within us. True peace is also found in our ability to trust. It is the trust that no matter what is happening in our lives, there is a higher purpose and plan at work, even if we cannot see it yet. When we embrace peace, we surrender the need to control every outcome and trust that things will unfold as they are meant to. This trust allows us to release fear and anxiety and instead walk forward with a sense of assurance that all will be well. It is the quiet confidence that no matter how turbulent the storms around us may be, the stillness within us remains. Embracing peace is also an act of self-care. It is recognizing that in order to be at peace with the world, we must first be at peace with ourselves. We must create a life that nurtures our well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically. This may mean taking time for rest, setting boundaries, engaging in activities that bring us joy, or simply spending time in quiet reflection. When we take care of ourselves, we create an environment where peace can thrive. This self-care is not selfish. It is a necessary practice that allows us to show up fully for others and for the world around us. In embracing peace, we find that it has a ripple effect. The more peace we cultivate within ourselves, the more it spreads to those around us. Our relationships improve, our work becomes more focused, and our interactions with the world are more calm and compassionate. Peace is contagious, and when we embrace it in our own lives, we help create an atmosphere of peace in the world around us. Ultimately, embracing peace is about living in alignment with our true selves. It's about creating a life that reflects our deepest values and desires and letting go of anything that does not serve our well-being. It's about choosing peace over stress, love over fear, and trust over doubt. The more we embrace peace, the more we realize that it is not something we have to fight for. It is something we can simply allow. It is already within us, waiting for us to stop and listen, to trust, and to surrender. When we embrace peace, we tap into a deep well of strength and serenity that carries us through all of life's challenges, making us resilient, calm, and more connected to the world around us.